from the BlueGoldNews.com report for Wednesday, August the 12th. So, Kevin, a lot of football news coming out of interviews today. Rich Rodriguez, assistant coach, players, and that's sort of the normal as we get into preseason camp. But the biggest bit of news surrounding WVU athletics was the announcement by Brenen Lorient, Mountaineer men's basketball player, that he was going to take advantage of the court ruling that gives him a fifth year and plans on being a Mountaineer again this coming season. How big is this for Ross Hodges' club?
I'm trying not to overhype things too much, but I think this is really big. Guy that played last year knows what Ross Hodge is looking for, familiar with the system, and when you've totally rebuilt your roster, having a guy or two like that that you can lean on, to me, is really big. The one caution for West Virginia fans, remember, this isn't over. The NCAA got shot down in their initial appeal, but that was because it went right back to the judge that made the initial ruling, and it's not too often you're going to overrule yourself. But now the NCAA is going to appeal that onward and upward, and that's where the real decision is going to be made. But hey, the clock's running. I mean, we know it's running for football. That's really close. And for basketball, season will be here before you know it. So I think all this is really good news for WVU.
Yeah, it does. And as you said, it's a rebuilt roster, but it's one that has a lot of talent. Now at least has some returning talent as well. On the football side of things, there was a lot of topics today. Nothing earth-shattering in terms of what Rich Rodriguez said, but one of the major topics was defensive backs, and he covered safeties a great deal in terms of his conversations today. Again, Zach Alley's defense uses three safeties. Your nickel, which is often the hybrid that comes down, sort of a strong safety type, and then two deep safeties as well. What's the safety position look like for West Virginia?
That's the one thing that, or one of many things we're going to be looking when we finally do get a look at the team in practice, because obviously the play last year was not very good at all. Coach Rod said today that, he felt like players were in position. It wasn't necessarily assignment busts or anything like that last year. It was just physically, weren't big enough, weren't quite fast enough. The reach wasn't there. So they tried to address that in recruiting. And hey, if you got longer arms and you can battle against the bigger receivers on those 50-50 balls, that makes a difference. To me, I'm really big on the nickel safety spot because it's such a linchpin, between linebackers and safeties. Like you said, that guy has to play well. He can't have position busts. I think a lot of the times he might end up being the communicator guy. So, when you have somebody that can play that spot really well, then the defense has a chance to be at least better.
Yeah, and it looks like Jeremy Latimer is probably that guy, though. Andrew Podrell, both of whom have played a lot of college football elsewhere, not necessarily for WVU, were probably your two guys at that nickel. Kamari Wilson's a guy that we know is going to be on the back end as well for West Virginia. Matt Sieg's a name that we hear a lot of also. So when you start looking at those three safety positions, those are four names to keep an eye on. There are others, but let's look at those four. We'll look at the rest of this Mountaineer football team as we continue on through fall camp, and we'll take another look at West Virginia in the future. But for today, that's the Blue and Gold News Report.